is up, parents? Elijah Keck here, the student pastor at the McKinney campus.
Yep.
And you're watching Teenager Tuesday Culture Update.
Yes.
The Culture Update. And we have a special guest here today.
Thank
We
you.
have culture expert,
Wow.
Tisha Solomon.
That's too much. That's too much. But I'm
Tisha
happy
is
to be
the
here.
student pastor at the Frisco
Frisco
East
East
campus.
campus.
So, culture update. First off, I want to start with a quick game.
Okay.
It's a tough
in.
game.
Is it
Parents,
hard? Kind of. All right.
I think for old people it will be.
I'm definitely the oldest one in the room. So.
So this is how it works. I have 4 things. There's new slang.
Okay.
Whether it's new or not, it's new to us, I guess.
Us-ish.
And I want you to give your answer for it. I think
Okay.
you should get them all right. Parents, try this at home. See if you know these.
Okay.
Let's do it. First one is this. What is a situationship?
Okay, so situationship, you hear things as a student pastor, and so you kind of have to guess because you don't want to be like, wait, what does that mean? And
Yeah.
so you kind of guess. So if I'm guessing, a situationship based on what I've heard and conversations I've heard is where you are kind of in a relationship with someone, but nothing is official, and you don't call someone your boyfriend or girlfriend. It's just kind of like you guys hang out and you're
Right.
together, but you're not together. If someone said, do you have a boyfriend or girlfriend, you would say no, probably.
Right. It's a situation.
Right?
Yeah, that's perfect. It's in between. It's like talking pretty much.
Talking,
Yeah,
right. We're
it's a
talking.
situationship.
Yeah,
All right, next
got it.
one. I like this
Okay.
one. I heard this one recently from
Okay.
a student. The ops.
The ops. Well, we have an operation team here at Hope, and they do all of our setup, and they're incredible. But the ops would be the opposing team. Like
Ooh.
someone that you're fighting against, that you're up against, whatever.
Yeah.
Like the opposing team. So the ops.
Yeah,
right?
the ops.
Yeah.
The opposition. That's
Right,
what it
the
means.
opposition.
Super
Oh,
easy.
perfect.
So I heard a student say this, they were talking about another student. They're like, yeah, they're the ops. And I was like, what does that?
Ooh.
What does that mean?
Because they're fighting over the same,
I don't know.
Okay.
Situationship.
Ooh, yeah.
Next one.
Good job.
This one is a weird word. I would say
Yeah.
that. Mukbang.
Mukbang. Okay, so this is the one I probably am the least confident about. But basically, it's and I don't even know why they call it this, but it's basically it's like you and I having a conversation right now, but if we had food in front of us and we'd be eating it.
Yeah, we should do Hope Students Mukbangs.
We should. That would be
fun.
incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty
During
much. I think
podcasts.
it's called this because it started in Japan.
Oh,
and so
that makes sense.
They call it mukbang, but yeah, it's pretty much conversations. People will watch people just having regular conversations, eating
food.
Yeah, that's a thing.
I want that job.
That's the thing. That sounds like a good job.
That sounds like a really good job.
Last one.
Okay.
Last one. This one's a
Okay.
tough one. Cuffed.
Cuff.
Someone says, "Yeah, they're cuffed." What does that mean?
Yeah. Oh, they're cuffed. I think it's they've taken something, or they're grabbing something that's not theirs, or I cuffed that. Something like that. I don't know.
Kind of.
Kind of? Okay.
It's talking about relationships.
Is it?
Someone's in a relationship. They're kind of like the idea of
I was wrong.
whipped, like
Okay.
how we would say whipped, but they're stuck. They're stuck in this relationship. They're cuffed.
stuck.
Yeah, it's
okay.
official, they're
They
stuck.
want out, but
I don't know if that would be the case, but
Okay, okay.
yeah, like me and my wife, I'm cuffed.
You're
you know?
cuffed, but you're
I'm
happy
taken,
to be.
I'm
You're
taken.
happy to be cuffed.
happy to be cuffed.
You're taken. So it's another word for saying I'm taken.
I'm taken. I'm
Oh,
cuffed.
good. See,
So if your
I didn't
student's
know
coming
that.
home, they're like, "Yeah, I'm cuffed." Yeah,
They're not handcuffed.
yeah, they're fine. You're
They're
fine.
fine.
They're
Right.
just maybe in a relationship.
Yeah.
Maybe a situationship.
Who knows?
Who knows?
But now you know to ask that question.
Yeah. Hey, today we have one main thought, and it is it's about thoughts.
Ooh.
And it's something I actually was talking with a student recently, and a student that's dealing with identity, and she is non-binary, struggling a lot, and she wants to, work on her thoughts and get better. But she said this phrase to me, and it really surprised me. We've talked
Yeah.
about this a little bit, but it's a phrase, intrusive thoughts. Intrusive thoughts, and this is a very popular thing right now amongst teenagers, and pretty much what this is, I'm going to give the definition and then kind of talk about maybe the side that they came from, but that students could come from with
Yeah,
this.
that's
But
good.
the definition is intrusive thoughts are unwanted thoughts that can pop into our heads without warning at any time. They often are repetitive with the same kind of thought cropping up again and again and again, and they can be disrupting or even distressing. All right, so pretty much this is a thought that a student is having, things that are just popping into their head that are just just coming up time and time and time again. And
Yeah.
so some of the examples are honestly pretty disturbing from the examples that I've heard. And it really has a lot to do with like very weird things like, hey, I'll just randomly think about having sex with that person, or like, maybe I wonder what that person would look like naked, or I wonder like kind of another example would be like holding a baby, like you said, and you know, the idea of you know, have you ever thought like, what if I drop this baby right now? And you keep thinking that over and over and over again. And so it's that disruptive, intrusive thought. Do you have anything that
when it's really like, there's no reason for this thought to pop in. It's not like, I mean, when you're holding a baby, then obviously like you're holding the baby. So the thought is, well, maybe I'm going to drop the baby, you know, but like, as far as a student, when she was talking to you, it was more like they just pop up randomly. Like, I'm not thinking about anything like weird or whatever. I'm like going about my day, doing my thing. And this thought pops into my head, and I can't, like, it just keeps coming, and I can't keep it from coming, basically.
Yeah, and man, I think this is something that the more I pray about it, the more I think about this idea, because I had to look this up because I didn't really know, and I wanted to be aware of what that was and what she really thought it was.
Yeah.
And from her perspective, it's almost an excuse to think the way she wants to think.
Right.
Oh, I can't help it. I can't help that I think this way. It's an intrusive thought.
Right.
You know, and it is, I want to make clear that this is a mental health disorder that is real, but it's also something that everyone goes through. Everyone has disruptive thought. Everyone has intrusive thoughts to some extent. And what causes this is anxiety and stress.
Yeah.
That's one of the main factors of this. And so I think obviously as teenagers, you got a lot of hormone stuff going on.
For sure.
Which that was one of the things I told her. I was like, listen, that's very natural. That's not something that's new to society.
Right.
But growing up, that intrusive thought was like, oh, that's on me. That's my bad.
Right.
And now it's like, oh, I can't help it.
This is just what's happening. So sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so I want to kind of talk, and I wrote this down because I thought this was interesting. It's 20% more popular in a teenager than 5 years ago.
Wow.
To have intrusive thoughts.
That's crazy.
Which I think has a lot to do with stress and anxiety.
For sure.
And the culture we're living in. And so,
absolutely.
My thought for both of us and for parents is, how do we as parents and teachers and pastors go about teaching about how to deal with intrusive thoughts as Christians?
Yeah.
And so what would be your kind of advice or quick thinking for that?
Yeah. Well, you know, we say at Hope Students all the time, like, we're a huge fan of counseling, going to counseling. We think that that's huge, and every student should probably go to counseling, especially after the last couple of years that everybody has had. Like, it's just something that I think should be commonplace and normal, and nothing that's like shameful or anything like that. But counseling, I think, is always a good thing.
Yeah.
But when I think about this, one of the verses that comes to mind is like in 2 Corinthians 10, and it says that we as Christians, like, we have the power to take every thought captive.
Yeah.
So when that thought comes to us, like, how do we combat that? Like, as Christians, we have the power, because we are Christians, and like, we have the power of the Holy Spirit to fight against that. Like, it's not something that we can just like go, oh, this is just what I have and I'm done. You know, It's like, hey, I'm having this thought. What can I do to combat it? And I think part of it is like just asking God, like, God, this is disturbing. I don't like this. Like, how can I not do this? But also, I think it's like, when that happens, a tool that a student can pull out of their toolbox is, hey, I'm going to start repeating the things that I know are true.
Right.
The things that I know are true about me, the things that I know that God says about me in the Bible, that I'm created perfectly by Him, that He formed me, He made me, He wants me to live in freedom, hopeful. Like, those are the things that He wants for us. And I think that if we repeat those in our mind, like, it's just such a good, like, reminder. And I think that can help push those thoughts out of our minds and maybe keep them from coming again, because it's we're constantly maybe saying those things instead of like allowing, not that that's what is happening, but like not giving room for those intrusive thoughts to be a part of our lives.
Yeah,
you know?
I
what
love
would
that.
you? Yeah, what would you
I
think?
think the biggest thing, and not the biggest thing, I think that's huge right there. I think another thing is input. Like, what are we inputting into our lives?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying like you're going to get rid of intrusive thoughts in general, but if you're watching TV shows with violence and you're playing video games with shooting, and then all of a sudden you start thinking about, what if I shot somebody?
Yeah.
There's a reason behind that. There's a correlation between those two. And so what is our input? What are we inputting? That's TV shows. That's, you know, Snapchat. That's
music.
All those things.
Yeah.
Music. And I think those play a big part into, you know, I love, I don't remember the verse, but it's we're a slave to what we obey.
Yeah.
And I think that's huge. What are we obeying? What are the things in our life that we're allowing? We're going to be held on to those things if we allow those things in our lives. And so I would say as a parent, watch input, especially
Yeah.
with middle school, and high school, but watch input, and I think that'll be a big help for intrusive thoughts.
I think parents too, like, you have a say in input, like you do. And even if your student says like, this is weird, nobody else is doing this, no other parents are like this, that's just is not the truth. That's the reality. It's not the truth. And you still have such a big say in your students' lives. And sometimes they need you to step in and to help them realign, because maybe they don't know how to do it. They don't know like the walls or the parameters that can be put in place, and they need you to do that. And so it's not weird. And sometimes they need that as parents. Like, we need to be able to step in and do that.
My last thought on that would just be, as a parent, knowing that your input might look a little different than a student's input.
Yeah, for sure.
And just because you are watching something and you can manage it as a Christian, doesn't mean that your student can. And so be careful about what you're watching too. And maybe that input might help you in your life too. So, but I would say this: pray for your students. Pray for students dealing with this. It's a mental health thing.
Yeah.
So counseling is huge. If students come to you with that, like, counseling is a big thing. Talk to a counselor about that, but also pray for your students dealing with this. Is because society is making it an excuse, and I don't like that. But prayer is a huge thing, and prayer and God can change hearts and thoughts, and like you said,
absolutely,
it's a huge thing. So that's all we have for you, parents. We love you guys.
We love you.
We believe in you. You can do this. You are not alone.
God is with you, and so are we.
Yes.
We love you guys.
Love you guys.
See you next time.